Good morning, everybody. My name's Jenny Emmel, and I'm the Corporate Support Librarian in the Trust, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Talking Point session. For those of you who haven't attended Talking Point before, we hold these sessions every month, and we try to do a different topic each month and invite a speaker. And it's an open forum for discussion. It's very informal, so we welcome your questions. So I'm really pleased to say that today we've got Callum Bennett talking to us, and he's sharing some information about the apprenticeship scheme within Leeds. We're really pleased to welcome him today because we would like to help him to celebrate their recent success and the award that they won recently. So that's why we've invited him to share his experiences with us today. So we'll be starting the session with a short presentation from Callum. During this, if I could ask you to switch your cameras off and mute your microphones. We are recording this session because we like to make it available to people after the session who weren't able to attend on the day. Once the presentation is over, we'll be happy to take any questions or have any discussion. You can either do this in person by unmuting, and you're very welcome to switch your cameras on then, or if you prefer, you can submit any comments or feedback via the chat. My colleague Beth will be monitoring the chat throughout the session, so please do feel free to participate through that chat facility if you prefer. So it's great to see so many of you here today, and I would like to now welcome Callum, who's going to start presenting his slides.
Hi everyone, thank you for inviting me today. I would also just like to invite Courtney Lewis. So Courtney is a crucial part of the apprenticeship and employability team as the HR advisor for apprenticeships, and Courtney is going to be supporting me as to deliver this presentation as well. So I'll start off by saying that hello, my name is Callum Bennett. I'm the Apprenticeship and Employability Team Leader here at the Trust, and I'll leave Courtney to introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Courtney Lewis. I'm the HR Advisor for Apprentices at LTHT.
Cool. Thank you for inviting us here today. I'm going to share my slides now for the group to see. Can everyone give me the customary shout out that they can see the slides?
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you very much. So as Jenny stated, we're here today to talk about apprenticeships at the Trust, and in particular our recent success at the Chartered Institute for Personnel Development CIPD Awards. We've been invited to share a presentation to start off the session, and we thought that the best place to start would be to share the presentation that we gave to the CIPD back in July. This presentation will take us through the growth of apprenticeships at the Trust. What's particularly nice is that the CIPD award was not just for one team, it was not for organisational learning or for HR, but it was for our whole organisation. And that reflects the fact that what happens at the Trust reinforces and supports a whole organisational approach to growing apprenticeships and making apprenticeships at LTHT so special. Right. So this is one of the slides that we shared with the CIPD. So what we can see from that slide is that we have over 900 apprentices at the Trust. Now, in reality, the numbers, it's closer to 1,000, and we have over 40 different apprenticeship programs. We're also a provider of apprenticeships as well through the Leeds Dental Institute. Now, we could have spoken about any of these 42 programs that we provide, but what really comes to mind, what really makes it special, is the work that's gone into goes into all of those programs. So following this, presentation aims to demonstrate the breadth of work that's been undertaken to ensure that as an organisation, we are embedding apprenticeships not just at scale and pace, but also at an exceptionally high level of quality. And then I'll hand over to Courtney.
Sorry. So the slide here obviously talks about the identity that we have as a trust, but also the apprenticeships within LTHT. So we have a large apprenticeship focus within the trust, and as Callum's already said, we have around 1,000 apprentices, which makes up nearly 5% of our entire workforce. So this means that many of the staff who have been saving lives this past year have also been completing apprenticeship programs. So we not only support staff to do apprenticeships, but we are also a training provider, and the Leeds Dental Institute do incredible work.
Thank you, Courtney. So apprenticeships at Leeds are not a programme, they are a career. So we know that the NHS is the 5th biggest employer globally, and therefore we can positively influence the wider social determinants of health through employment. At Leeds, we deliver a number of high-quality, tailored employability programmes to reach individuals with the support they need to create a path to sustainable employment. This tailored approach also extends to schools and community outreach activities, raising aspirations amongst those who are from disadvantaged backgrounds, lower income households, and other underrepresented groups who may face barriers to employment. For our entry-level roles, we recruit for values, and the Leeds Way values are obviously our organisational guiding principles. What we say is that the only requirement to get into the trust is the ability for candidates to demonstrate that their values align to those of the organisation. Our apprenticeships provision, therefore, widens access into employment, attracting new talent into our organisation, but also providing opportunities for existing staff to develop, ensuring we have the right people with the right skills at the right time to meet current and future skills needs. Our mantra is get in, go on, go further. Apprenticeships, therefore, form an integral part of our organisational workforce strategy. So on this slide, this shows some of the partners and organisations that we work with to help develop these apprenticeship programmes and employability programmes as well. Now, we could talk about any number of programmes, but I'm going to focus on the Future You programme. So the Future You programme brings together a unique approach to education and training to address workforce gaps in our nursing population using an apprenticeship model. It was co-designed with several stakeholders, including corporate nursing. Through this progressive pathway, learners go on, moving forwards at their own pace to achieve the highest qualification they chose, whether that be a CSW, nursing associate, or registered nurse. I'd like to share with you just one example of the impact that this progressive pathway has had. So back in 2016, for our partnership working with the third sector, we met one lady who was a single mum to a young boy who at the time was around 9 years old. She had fled her country of origin due to political unrest. She was supported through a pre-employability programme to go on to the Apprentice Clinical Support Worker programme, and she completed it, and she's now studying the Nursing Associate programme and has every intention to move on to the Registered Nurse programme. So that's a real life example of how that pathway can have such a massive impact on an individual's career and that of their family as well. And what we can see here are the numbers. So these numbers were correct as of July of 2021, which is when this presentation was originally given. And this just shows the sheer scale of apprenticeships across the trust. We have 304 people at the time doing apprentice clinical support worker, 183 apprentice nurse associate, 96 apprentice nurse.
Our apprenticeships at Leeds are not a closed shop. They are open for all. Our people priorities talk about creating an organisation that is free from discrimination and our position as an anchor institution in the Leeds City region. This means that for us, apprenticeships are not just a means to develop talent, but a key mechanism to improve diversity, widen participation and reduce health inequalities in our local communities, as we know that employment is a key detriment of health. We make sure that our programmes are diverse by taking conscious efforts to ensure that our programmes, particularly our entry-level apprenticeship programmes, do not present any barriers for people from our local community. The next slide shows what some of those conscious efforts are and the work that's gone into meeting this vision. For instance, we use pre-apprenticeship programs to widen participation, reviewed and overhauled entry requirements and recruitment practice for apprenticeships, levelling the playing field for applying for levy funds, and we have a board level scrutiny and regular review of uptake of CPD in minority groups. These actions have had demonstrated impact. It's demonstrated in the diversity of our programme participants compared to our local community, as shown in the image shared. It's demonstrated in the progression of staff from entry-level or pre-apprenticeship programmes to senior registered positions. Over 50% of people who joined us on an employability programme go on to substantive employment with us, and the others are coached to identify the right next step for them. And it's demonstrated in the improvement in patient experience through the benefits of having diverse staff. For example, one of our apprentices whose country of origin is outside of the UK was able to apply their bilingual skills to improve patient experience and understand while working as part of the COVID vaccination effort. This also highlights that our commitment to diversity is not only serving our workforce, but also our patient population. At LTHT, throughout our work, the objective has been to ensure that apprenticeships are led by the organisation. The two main milestones were to ensure that the organisation was supporting apprentices and was sustainably growing new apprenticeships through making apprenticeships a common method of talent development. Some of the key deliverables around the support for existing apprentices have included the creation of a peer support network and the creation of a HR advisor for apprenticeships role. The organisation has also been facilitated to grow new apprenticeships, and the deliverable for the HR function was to act as a consultancy to support the growth of the programmes in areas of the organisation that has traditionally not had them. We do this by utilising workforce data to understand current and future workforce gaps, supporting the business unit's workforce planning processes by aligning vacancies with apprenticeship standards and helping them create relevant career pathways. Through actions such as these, we ensure that the organisation is in the lead and the HR function is a key part of facilitating and empowering that. Our results so far have been very encouraging. In January 2018 of the programmes we had under 10% were led by business units external to the HR function. In April 2021, through acting as a consultancy, about 70% of our 42 programmes were led by those business units with our support. As well as the whole organisation approach to growing apprenticeship efforts to ensure organisational structures and culture and supporting apprentices have yielded dividends. We do a pulse survey every quarter, and the survey gathering results for April 2021 show that 93% of our apprentices feel supported by their management team to complete their apprenticeship. We've also got some great qualitative feedback, which I've highlighted below around the support apprentices received.
Thank you, Courtney. So apprenticeships at Leeds are not just great, they are growing. Continuous improvement and growth is central to how we work. For us, standing still as sector leaders isn't enough. We are committed to continue to scan the horizon to look at what is next and how we can do better. So what do we mean by growing? Well, I'd like us to look at this through two lenses: scale and quality. In terms of scale, we continue to grow year on year, strategically investing our levy fund to match workforce needs and develop our talent pipelines. Our increase in starts aligns to the growth of programmes that were described earlier, and we hope to see this continue to expand as new standards become available, such as dietitian. In terms of quality, whilst we are very proud of the increase in scale, that doesn't matter so much unless quality is also improving. To help support this, we've developed a quality assessment dashboard, of which a mock-up is provided, which gives our oversight group a summary of the current performance for each of our training providers. This approach allows us to quickly spot areas of concern and work in partnership with providers to address issues promptly. I should point out as well, this is a mock-up. This does not actually reflect the actual scores of our training providers. We also regularly monitor learner experience through pulse surveys, regular drop-in sessions, peer learning opportunities, and have a dedicated staff member in our team to provide support. Another example of where we have improved our quality is through the review and overhaul of our entry-level apprenticeship activity. We've recognised that previous recruitment approaches narrowed the field of applicants and didn't always support the prospective apprentices to thrive. We reviewed our approach, taking learning from national good practice and the CIPD, and overhauled our activity to be fully values-led. We've had some great results in this, including a substantial reduction in attrition from programmes and contract extensions required to complete programmes, and a 28% increase in apprentice clinical support worker placements offered. In summary then, we've shown you how apprenticeships matter to us at Leeds, but are also an integral to the fabric of our workforce and the growth of our role as an anchor institution. To recap, apprenticeships at Leeds are not a programme, they are a career. Apprenticeships at Leeds are not a closed shop, they are open to all. Apprenticeships at Leeds are not led by a team, they are led by the organisation. Apprenticeships at Leeds are not just great, they are growing. And apprenticeships at Leeds are used to get in, go on, and go further.
Thanks ever so much for that presentation. It really puts it into context. And I had absolutely no idea how many apprentices we have in the Trust. I was really surprised to see how many we have. I'd like to now open it up for discussion or a question. Has anyone got anything they would like to ask either Courtney or Callum? Whilst people are thinking, I'd like to just perhaps ask a question. How have you found recruiting apprentices during the pandemic? Has it been difficult, or have people been more interested in working in healthcare? Has it had any effect?
There have probably been two stages to this. I know there's someone on the call as well, Kath Senior, who's also been experiencing this from her side as well. Our experiences have been that at the start of the pandemic, there was a lot of interest. Applications were very, very high. We'd be looking at hundreds of applications for apprenticeship roles. Recently, we found that they have declined, and we've had to look at different ways of doing it. So we've had to, so we've worked really closely with our employability partners. We've offered information sessions to prospective applicants at a really early stage. And we're currently looking at how we can utilise National Apprenticeship Week, which is coming up in the second week of February, to further engage with our prospective candidate base.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions they'd like to put? It might be a short session. Oh, we've got a question come through the chat. Is it possible to increase our number? Let me just see what it says again. Is it possible to increase our number of apprentices where they are working well?
Could I ask Fiona, if you're comfortable with coming off mute? What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Yeah, hi, my name's Fiona. I'm a clinical manager from physiotherapy, and we've started having apprentices and they're working really well. We have 2 on each cohort, but we've got huge amounts of interest, and we could potentially fill a lot more posts if we had the option to do that. And I don't quite understand how it works with the levy and things like that. Are we limited on the number of apprentices we can offer, or is there scope to expand that?
There is massive scope to expand. So if There is not a limitation in terms of funding at this stage. The apprenticeship levy funds can only be used to pay for apprenticeships, and that is a decision that's taken by the Department of Education, actually. So as a trust, we can't influence it. But the benefit of that is that in our levy funds, there are currently £6 million that can be spent on apprenticeships. If you have the scope to expand apprenticeships, we will support you to do it. We will absolutely support you to do that. So Fiona, I believe we've actually been working with Ruth Stevens regarding the increase in occupational therapy apprentices as well. And if there is further scope to increase, and we will absolutely support you in delivering that.
Okay, thank you. I'll be in touch.
Awesome.
It's great to hear success from other people. I think Damien's appeared on the screen. Do you have a question?
Hello, sorry. Yeah, this really interests me. I've spent the last 20 odd years in the private sector, and we started using this to great effect in the last sort of couple of years, moving HCAs through the training program into the nurse accreditation program, and that worked really well. One of the issues we found was we had to almost consider them supernumerary because of the amount of time that they had to be released for this, structured and scheduled training, and that as a manager, that was not without challenge. However, the benefits that the whole team saw in that we were investing in certain members of our team was exponential, and it was not without profound impact on the team, as seen as investing in people. And also the member of the team that we, I employed someone as a HCA, and we developed her, and she flourished to enormous extent, and I'm enormously supportive of this. But it came at cost in terms of having supernumerary members of the team that had to be released for training, and that was not without its challenges. So I'm very supportive of this, but it's a brilliant scheme, but it was not without challenge, is all I can add, really.
Thank you, Damien, for that, and for thinking about your experiences from other organisations as well, which add a real richness and a real challenge. So, I think we know from our experiences, and I'm sure a lot of people on the call will know as well, around the fact that people tend to stay where they're trained. So this is obviously part of a retention strategy, but you're absolutely right. There's a lot of support that goes into an apprentice. I suppose the level of engagement really would vary based off the programme that individuals are doing, but I suppose would I be able to just open it up to the rest of the call, because I'm conscious of the fact that we have colleagues who I know are doing apprenticeships or are currently supporting apprentices, and I wonder, would they be able to share some of their reflections as well on what Damien's just said? I see Fiona and Kath have both put your hands up. I think Fiona was slightly the fastest finger in West Yorkshire.
I would agree with what Damien said. It's not without its challenges, and one of the things that we've struggled with is that initially the university that we were working through sort of took no responsibility for helping us to coordinate placements and things, which has actually been a fairly deciding factor on us moving to a different provider who has promised that they will do that. Just the logistics of it. It is challenging, and these are great members of the team, and you just miss them when they're gone, when they're away for 6 weeks doing a placement or something. But that's the downside of hopefully investing in them and making sure that they end up working for us in the future going forwards.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fiona, for sharing that. And Kath, you've got your hand up as well.
Hi, Damien. So our taking estates and facilities is different because we have different apprentices doing different things. So last year we introduced the healthcare cleaning operative one, and we kind of did bite the bullet. So we rolled up quite a lot of vacancies that we could never fill, and we rolled those up in order to, fund that person's wage. In estates, it's slightly more tricky because an estates apprenticeship can be 3 to 4 years long, depending on what trade they're going to do. And in reality, that person can't do a great deal for us until they've been here at least 2 years, because we're not going to let them on the electrics or something until they're competent. So we're now working on a plan based on age profile. And we're trying to get rolling funding, because at the moment we have to give up a vacancy in estates if we want to take up on an apprentice. So that leaves us doubly short. So for us, it was a piece about the forward planning. We also could make the case that if we didn't sort of put more investment into growing our own, we were having to use agency staff and higher costs and contract out. So we could make that financial case for doing that, but I appreciate that your situation might be different. And as anybody who looks at the news knows, you can't get an electrician for love nor money at the moment, so that really helped us. I don't know how helpful that is to you, but there was 2 different approaches to it depending on what the criticality of the role was.
I think it's really interesting to see what different areas do and how they approach this issue, because you're right, Damien. It is a time commitment, and I don't think I would sit here with a straight face and say that it's right to and say that apprenticeships are right for every area, because they're not. They do require a level of support. However, there are things that can be done to help. So there is a training provider that has a responsibility for the apprentice. So there's something around the contracting process of that initial training provider, which the apprenticeship employability team can support with as well, to ensure that the provider is signed up and is helping to deliver the training. There's also something around the learner who has their own individual responsibilities to their learning. And you've also got the fact that as a trust, we have a fantastic health and wellbeing offer that goes out to all our staff, and apprentices can access that as well. So there's a wide variety of things that can be done to help reduce the burden. I'm conscious that Courtney supports apprentices an awful lot within her current role. I wonder, Courtney, if you would just add anything to what's already been said.
I agree. It's very interesting because not one size fits all, does it? Depending on your area, what your operational pressures are, etc. But I'm a huge advocate for apprenticeships, obviously. I think forward planning, Kath's point's really powerful in the sense that, do you go for a roll-on, roll-off model? Do you hire via cohort? I don't know. It does just depend on what your service needs are as well. I think what's been very beneficial in my role is working in collaboration with the learning provider and pushing that responsibility on them, and having really, really clear expectations of what the manager's responsible for, what the learning provider, is responsible for, but also what are the apprenticeship's responsibilities as an adult learner. What are they going to do to almost organise their own learning, stay engaged in the programme, be committed to their employment at work? It's very interesting to see that there's almost this cultural opinion that an apprentice isn't an employee. So we're managing that as well, and which is very interesting concept, because like Callum says, an apprentice has access to all the same resources and whatever it may be as we do. Do they utilise them, or do they go more to the academic side of, I'm an apprentice in training and I need to do my placement area? So there is a lot to think about, and I think once you have that collaborative approach and all people are on side, it works very, very well. It's just getting that right at the start.
Thank you, Courtney. So I guess in summary then, with those problems talking about, what I'd always say is that if you're unsure about it, So we're the Apprenticeship Employability team, which Courtney and I are part of, is part of organisational learning. If you get in touch, we will do what we can to support, talk through our own experiences, see if there's something that that could be done centrally. Because oftentimes, if there's an issue with, say, a learning provider, we have 42 different apprenticeship programs at this trust. We'll likely have another apprenticeship program with that training provider, and we can bring an issue then on behalf of not just one manager or one area, one apprentice, but over a broader variety of programs to help bring about real change if it's needed. Cool. Does that answer your question, Damien?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge advocate, and well, one has to grow one's own nowadays because, and also it's the realization that the traditional recruitment and retention approach, it's not really working. So we either keep trying to do the same thing and realizing that we're not getting people, or we try and do something about it. And I like the proactive approach. So I think it's great.
Absolutely. Thank you, Damien. Sorry, Jenny, I took over a little bit there.
No, you're welcome. It's your area. You're the expert. So thanks ever so much for your contributions, everybody. And it seems that the apprenticeship scheme is really well regarded in the trust, and it's great to hear that people want to take it further. Thank you so much for joining us today. If people have further questions beyond this call, are they okay to contact you directly, Callum or Courtney?
Absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. So thanks ever so much for attending. We will be sending out the recording of this session, so hopefully people that weren't able to attend today can also find out more about the apprenticeship scheme. So just again, thanks so much for your presentations. Someone's put in the chat that they were thought-provoking presentations, but they've had to leave for another meeting. So it's great to hear about the work going on in the trust. So thanks again for attending. I'm just going to put in a feedback form. It's a really brief survey if anyone wants to feedback about today's session. And also, if anyone has any ideas for future talking point sessions, because we offer these every month and we're always looking for speakers. So if you've got a project you want to promote or something you want to celebrate or just something you want to talk about, then it would be great to have your involvement. So please do make any suggestions through that as well. So thanks again for attending and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
See ya.